Hello, and welcome to the Deep Blue Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deep Blue Renegade, and welcome to episode 15. Today is Saturday, October. Oh crap, I don't remember the date. I am in a race against the clock. It is the 19th. Because, this weekend has been crazy, so I was like, oh, well, it's about 5:30 now, and in the Shadow Kingdom of Darkness, that means the sun is going to be disappearing soon. And I definitely don't have good enough lighting to podcast when it is dark. But I'd like to welcome you guys to the show. I'm pretty excited. As far as, I think this episode is going to be called A Little Preppy. So I finished my hand-spun sweater vest. Ta-da! The pattern was Hilja by Nina. I can't pronounce her last name. And it is a free pattern for someone who has a 36-inch measurement, and it is a much harder pattern if it's not. So this is what I have. I made a couple of modifications. So when I did the neckband, instead of doing the 2x2 rib, I did a 1x1 rib. And then I turned out I had plenty of yarn. That was a worry initially, but I have maybe 10 to 20 grams left. So that was a non-issue. Glad, wonderful. And I'm wearing it how I plan on wearing it. So sleeves rolled, blouse on, and it really does have a nice, it fits me really well, which is exciting. And I'm definitely wearing it Monday. So I finished the other modification that I did was I did a hemmed bottom. So I did a provisional cast on to start because I was worried about running out of yarn, so I wanted to, if I had to use accent yarn, I wanted my ribbing all to be the same color, and I was able to use all of my hand spun in this. Yeah, so came together nicely. Putting on the sleeve, putting on whatever the little ribbing around the armholes really tightened everything up and got everything into place, or everything was where it was supposed to be. And this has been most of my knitting this week. I did the ribbing up here in 5s, and accidentally I had used my 3s for the ribbing on the bottom, so what can you do? Not too much. So it was fun to have it come together, and I'm really glad that it is done, because that means I can move on to different knitting. So, FO! Little preppy. I've never owned a sweater vest before, so that's why I feel maybe a little bit silly. But I like how it turned out. The cool thing about my hand spun was whenever I went to join in for a different color, you can tell that this side is maybe a different shade of blue than this side, but it all flows together because the fibers started off as white and blue. And what this vest has become is so many different shades of blue, it's so me. So, exciting. As soon as, so I was hoping to work a little bit on all of my projects today. Since it is in the afternoon, I was hoping to get a little bit done on all of my other projects during knitting, but I couldn't find my 3s because they were in my vest, unexpectedly. Oh my gosh, so silly. So I was hoping to get a chance to work on my Simplicity cardigan again. So what was this? Last week, I had not worked on it at all, and well, this week is another week of not working on it at all, but I put the needle's actually sitting over there, so I will be putting the needle on and starting a sleeve. I think what I'll do is knit a sleeve, and when I am sick of knit a sleeve and then go back to the body and work it for a while, and then when I'm sick of working on the body, I can do another sleeve to just sort of break up the never-ending stockinette, which is the simplicity. Oh, that's actually pretty see-through. So, blue once again, no big surprise there. So this is out of my Woolmeister lace in the Chim Chim Chimney colorway. Now I'm knitting this on 3s, which is way smaller than what the pattern calls for, but I'm still getting gauge. Who knew? And I really want this to be done because this is going to be a versatile throw it on whenever I'm cold sweater, and I won't have to worry about it clashing with what I'm wearing. Because I seem to wear a lot of red, so if I have a red shirt, then I can wear the blue sweater. And if I have a blue shirt, I can wear the blue sweater. And if I have a black shirt, I can wear the black sweater. Or the blue sweater. So it doesn't, so this is a much more versatile color than my other Woolmeister sweater. Or my other Woolmeister lace sweater. The topic of Woolmeister came up at knitting, and so then we agreed that it was best as a sweater yarn, just because the tight twist and the many plies makes it so it just looks really, really good as sweaters. And then I started counting off how many Woolmeister sweaters I had, and I think I miscounted. So this is one, which isn't completed yet. I have the featherweight. I have the alfaba. I have the bohas. I have the myrtle. And that brings me up to 5. Do I have any other ones? I don't think so. So 5. So this is my 5th Woolmeister sweater. And then I have plans to make a 6th Woolmeister sweater, and I have yarn for it. So it's in the stash back in Indiana, not here. So might take a little bit of a sweater break. Obviously, I had this surprise sweater mess, so full of shenanigans. So Simplicity by Mary Annarella. And I'm assuming since I haven't been working on my simplicity, you guys haven't been working, well, you guys, like, hi Anna. Have you been working on your simplicity? So, I don't know, maybe you're already done and I'll see you next weekend. So, there is a Cal going on in the group, which is the Deep Blue Renegade podcast on Ravelry. And if you just want to knit along, even if it is not the simplicity, and even if it is not lace, whatever. I am more than, like, don't be a lurker, come by, it'll be fun. So, and since I've been working on it, I haven't really been a very good hostess, have I? Shenanigans. So I am going to be going to Indiana next week because I didn't get furloughed, but I sort of wanted to have a vacation. So I took I took some time off on either end of my long weekend so I could have a nice long stay in Indiana and chill out. And I'm really looking forward to that because I miss my husband. I want him to be around. And I'm knitting socks for him. Segue. Yay! So, at knitting today, I managed to knit a 3rd hexagon for the Hexagon Socks. And what's the next step is I'm going to be picking up stitches on both sides and knitting and making this into a cuff. So these are the Hexagon Socks by Kirsten Hall. I am using Collinette Jitterbug in the October Afternoon colorway, and it's so pretty. Well, I'm not really an orange person, but my husband is, so the Dear Sweet Lovable One gets, whenever I see orange yarn, I think of him, because he has a reputation for ridiculous socks. And I have been impressed. So I'm making smooth hexagons for his socks. I made stretchy, ribby hexagons for my socks, and really they're the equal. Like, look how much that stretches. Like, don't be worried if you think this is all stockinette and there's lots of decreases. Like, look at that. This the sock is like, it's solid, but it's definitely stretchy. So even the non-stretchy sock is stretchy. And I was just impressed, like, you cannot see my joins. So it's going to be really cool when it's done, because it's just going to be these seamless spirals. Oh man, I'm excited. So that is that. I have knit one. I don't know whether or not I'll be carrying the Simplicity into the bag or these socks in my bag, I guess. So actually, I need to enter this sweater into the Mustache podcast. Rhinebecker Bust Cal. Oh, that was going to be the other alternative name for the episode, which would have been Not Live from New York. Oh man, I have such deep Rhinebeck. So today was the whatever, or Rhinebeck is this weekend, and well, I'm in Albuquerque. No big deal. I think I'm gonna go next year, because like the jealousy I feel is just too much. Too much to bear. So, what is it? So, Hexagon Socks, coming along. I think the plan is that after I get a cuff, then I'll put in the heel, and then when I'm in Indiana next week, the Dear Sweet Lovable one can try it on, and we can be sure that these socks are going to work for him. And I think this is really great plain knitting. So then, since I have the hexagon memorized at this point, the stretchy hexagon was more complicated. I would need to look at the instructions for that one. But the non-stretchy hexagon is super, super simple. And I was also wondering if this would be an interesting way of doing a blanket of doom. I'm not sure I'm ready. Like, I don't know why I'm tempted by this, or maybe I'm just looking at the bag of sock yarn scraps and being like, what am I going to do with this? But I should just knit socks with my sock yarn scraps. Duh. So, coming together. And I'll probably be knitting socks for my husband, or whatever, for the Dear Sweet Lovable one out of scraps, or for a while now, because I feel like sock exhaustion. So I think that's why this hasn't been seeing as much love, as being like, there's so many socks, even though it's only me who has so many socks. My husband, yeah, he has a manageable amount of socks. So excitement there. I do give him an acronym. So if you do know the true identity of the man I love, fine, whatever. But he likes to be secretive on the internet. So, and since this is on the internet for all to see, that's why he doesn't get a name. But Dear Sweet Lovable one is, I call him that too. So I also call him that on the internet. But so if you do know, don't let the secret out of the bag. I try to respect his wishes in that regard. We'll just put it that way. So, those are the knitting works in progress. I don't have plans right now to cast anything on, just because I am a small way into a sock, and there is a lot of sweater to go. So, unless something strikes me, which probably not. It means that things are going to be a little, whatever, unchanging on the knitting front. We'll just put it that way. So, what is the next thing? Spinning. I will do the short one first, and then I'll do the long one second. At knitting today, I was able to spin a little bit, so I was able to finish off the teal on my Fat Cat Knits Variegated BFL. And I'm going to put this more thoroughly on the spindle, because as I was carrying it back in from the car, the fiber became disconnected. So don't want to lose the twist in what I've spun already. So that is where I'm sitting farther back today, because I wanted to do a little demonstration. So it's making it a little bit awkward for showing things. So that's where I am right now. So it's nice and thin. It's spinning like a dream. I think I was so focused on the sweater vest that I didn't, like, I would be watching podcasts and stuff like that, which is normally when I spin, and I'd be working on the vest instead of the spinning, but this is so wonderful to spin. Why am I not spinning it? So I got through the teal color, and I'm now to purple, and it's still pretty heavy. So this project's gonna take a while, and I'm okay with that, because it is quite wonderful to work on. So that's not the issue. It's the issue is time, and time has been scarce. Lots of things to worry about and do. Now for the longer one. So I've been continuing work on the chocolate Shetland fleece. So this was the mini skein I showed last week. And this is my test skein. And I think that this is probably going to be what it will become, which is worsted weight, fairly loosely spun 2-ply. And I'm really digging how this squishes, how it feels, but it's not like it's not barbed wire, but it's not it doesn't want to be a hat, it doesn't want to be a cowl, it wants to be a sweater. So I talked with Brooke, and I'm gonna get some more fleece from her, but I did end up applying the 2 samples that I showed last week, and in a surprise move, the Sonata spun part of my Rolog is actually applied up quite nicely. So as singles, it was a little bit firm and wiry, but plied, it really gave it a nice, it has a really nice bounce to it. The Ladybug spun one, it just wasn't as compelling, so I don't know if it's a case where it's just underspun, and that's why it was wonderful as singles and less wonderful as what would you say, or less wonderful as applied yarn. And they're both quite fine, which I don't think I would want to spin a sweater quantity of fingering weight. Just, yeah, no way. So that was good, a learning experience. I suppose that if I end up spinning it this fine, which I guess I haven't tested my improved Rolog skills to see if I am spinning finer because I'm getting better at prep, but here's sort of a side-by-side comparison of the two. So if that was the case, and if I was spinning the singles as fine as I was spinning on the wheel, then that would mean to me I'd want to do a 4-ply for sure. But I'm the prospect of wheel tomorrow, no. The spinning wheel project is going to be, I suppose, like, it's going to take at least a month and probably more. So that will come together slowly. But what I did last night was I finished going through and getting the hay out. So I wanted to show 2 things. Oh, there's a piece of plastic there. So so I had been using the picker to go through, and it just wasn't doing enough. It really needed something. It really needed me to go through and open up every single lock by hand and then shake out and pull out the hay. And what it did give me a chance was, so what you see here is 1 lock. Ta-da! But what you can see, these little bits hanging up here, those are second cuts. And what I found was when I was using the picker, I wasn't getting them out. And really, it's quite simple to pull out the seconds because they're so short, you don't need much to grab much in order to grab them off. And see, these are strangely short bits. The person who sheared the sheep did wasn't shearing it for, it didn't seem like they were really shearing it for a fibery sort of thing. So it seemed like every single lock had some seconds on it. And that was showing up as neps. And, well, maybe not even neps, but they were, you could tell in the spinning that there wasn't a uniformity in locks. So So I go through and I pull off the seconds, which I'm not going to get them all. And then so you have this lock here, and you can see the bleached out tips, which is that was the part of the sheep that saw the sun. And so I have in this bag 3.5 ounces of the finish. So I had actually gotten basically halfway already. I hadn't realized how, like, I hadn't sat down and weighed the locks and whatnot after I'd washed them. So that was good to know. And probably in the future, I need to do this lock breaking step much earlier in the process. But I did want to show you how I go about carding them to make roll-logs, because I figured that would be interesting and something not very many people have seen before. Even if my technique maybe is slightly wonky. So I have a single lock, and this does a pretty good job of filling a card. You don't want to have too much on there, and you can tell because then weird things will be happening. But let me grab my cards. So the last time I showed my cards, they were clean and new and shiny, but now they have bits of stuff in there. So I need to get a separate thing in order to, oh, the other thing is I haven't practiced this, so if it seems awkward, I'm sorry. So what I have is my lock. So what you do is you're going to take the cut end and put it on the top of your card. So, so some people will do something, what is it? Or they'll do something like break off locks and then chunk them on to la-di-da-di-da. But so since I have this whole lock and it's filling the card nicely here, so I'm just patting it down a little bit so that it's stuck in there. No big deal. And so I don't know if anyone had watched the video from, or that I had linked in last week's show notes, but then you're just going to set one on your leg. Ta-da. Let me pull my other leg out of the way. So you're going to set one on the leg, and then you're going to, let me open up the tips a little bit, and you're going to start from the very tips, pulling things apart. And so then as you go through, let me see. So I'm starting to get fiber on this card, and then I'm just very gently going across and going up. And then it's very simple at the beginning, and see now this has become more fluffy, and this is slowly but surely acquiring it is slowly but surely acquiring fiber. So now I've done all the parts where I've combed the part of the lock that isn't chunked into the other card. So then you dip in a little bit and make sure you go up, and then dip in a little bit and go up. And so this is lifting up the fiber that I have in on the card on my leg, and then inserting it into this other card. And then you just keep working back as you go. And then bam, clean card, full card. This is actually going to be a pretty small roll-log. And I'll just do it one more time because it looks like there are some maybe thicker parts on this guy. So the lifting up after lifting and pulling up afterwards just gently lifts it out and straightens everything. If you don't lift, then you're just going to be combing. And not like combing, not in terms of like combing for that, combing in terms of a fiber thing, but it's more like you're just brushing hair and nothing's moving. So now that I've done one round, I'm now going to do a second round. So then it's the same thing. You start from the barest tips and keep gently working your way in. And then once you make it to the cards, you dip your one card into the other one, lift up above the teeth, and go on. And then I've reached the end, and I haven't extracted all of the stuff from this card, so I have most of it on here, but some of it's still left. So then I start from the barest tips again and work my way in. and then remember to lift up and out. And then to clear it off, I just sort of chunk it in, and then that's empty card, fluffy card. So if you were a professional, you would do something like this to peel the fiber. So you have this card here, and then you have this card here, and then you can peel off like so. But I find it's easier to do a little prologue just from this state here. So what I do is then I put my other card down. I don't need it anymore. And what is it? So now I have this fiber. And so what I like to do is I bring this in a little bit and sort of not necessarily compact it, but get it all in there. And then I'm going to roll it up. So I'm taking this, and then I take the barest ends and I start rolling it up like I'm rolling like a pie crust. I was trying to remember what the motion I was doing was, which was when I'm making a pie crust around the edges, then I roll up the dough from the outside to make it more of the inside. And so then I'm just gently going over the levels there. And so you see here I have a roll-log, but it's still attached to the card. And then I just keep twisting until I am all the way off. And there you have it. That is a roll-log. Now my spinning teacher was like the tornadic prep or something like that. Well, it's just the other thing that you can do is you can peel it off and then put layers and layers and layers on top of each other, and then you would call it a bat. And then everything's mostly aligned. In a roll-log, you're spinning perpendicular. So I'm taking this end and drafting from it. I did see an interesting video this week on how to do a long draw on a spindle, because I was thinking I was going to be spinning it long draw because I had roll-logs, and roll-logs is a long draw prep. But I couldn't figure out how to do it, so YouTube to the rescue. maybe I'll put a link on that and maybe review how it works. Not that I really want to keep on making test games, but I do know I'm going to be buying more of the fleece off of Brooks so that I have enough for a garment. Because I have about 7.5 ounces now, so I suppose I have maybe a little. So I lost about 2 ounces in seconds, hay, and lanolin, so which is expected. That's actually really a really low percentage for waste on a fleece, like normal. So that's like 20% or 25%, which I guess is maybe more not. So 25 to like a merino could even be up to 50% of just lanolin. So that is my little tutorial for the day on roll-log, hand carding, and making a roll-log. So it's really quite straightforward. And it's like that was 2 passes. When I had more vegetable matter in the locks, that was that took longer. I might have done 3 passes and tried to shake out what I could, but I realized when you card, it doesn't get that out. So if it's in there when you start, it's going to be in there when you're finished. So it's better to clear it while it's in lock form, and you can just sort of run your fingers through the locks and open it up and shake it until all the hay comes out. Ah, hay. I have had enough of hay. I think I'm done dealing with hay. Aside from the hay that is incorporated into my previous roll-logs. So I don't know how much longer it's going to take for me to be finished with all of that, but it has been a good project. It's been fun to make the little roll-logs, and I don't know if I'm going to be buying another fleece in the near future. Probably not, but I'm glad to know A, I could handle it. B, it's interesting to start from such a raw state, and I can now say that yes, I have spun I have prepped and spun a fleece. So that's a knitting skill unlock or whatever. I guess that's a spinning skill. And I'm glad I don't have 3 pounds of it. Or 5. That would have just been weeping. And just last night, I learned so much going through it with my fingers and getting everything opened up that I know what I'm looking for now. I didn't know what I was looking for before, but now if I go through Brooks Fleece again, I can make sure not to take the second. The seconds are such a pretty color. I'm so bummed. Like the closest to sheep, it has this really nutty, almost a slightly lighter shade of brown. What can you do? They're seconds. They're getting tossed. I've never felted before. I'm not looking to start, so I didn't really have a use for the seconds at all. So yeah, whatever. Excuse me, I'm starting to get sick, so it's that that very beginning. So, and I don't have any coffee right now because it's late, so no drink. Yeah, so that is how you make a roll-log. Fill the content a little bit more, and that is everything I wanted to talk about. So, we'll get into the end matter then. So, if you're interested in knitting the Simplicity Cal is going until the end of November. I think I'll be finishing before then, but I'm more than happy if you want to knit along. Join us. Knit along on anything, including not the Simplicity. And you can find me several places. So I'm Deepbluerenegade on Ravelry, and I am Molly Singh on Facebook and Google+. It might be fun to do a VKN. If anyone is interested, I think you need to be in my Google contacts in order for me to invite people to a VKN. So I might need to learn more, but I'll put I'll ask in the thread if anyone is interested in doing that. I would think Wednesday would be a good time for me, because I don't tend to have plans on Wednesday nights. So if you guys are interested, let me know. We can webcam and it'll be fun. And feel more than welcome to join the Deepbluerenegade podcast group. So the last time I checked, there were 22 members, so yay! I don't know if I'm going to do anything special if we get, I'll probably end up doing something special if we get 123, because I'm weird like that. I really like the numbers that aren't necessarily the even numbers, but the numbers where they're consecutive. Such silliness. So, and I won't be recording next week, because I will be in Indiana. And that means I'm taking us all the way to November. So I believe that will be November 2nd will be the time that I record episode 16. Which it should be fun. I don't know, I might have a lot of time for this trip because there are no plans. So I might end up podcasting with Jody. I might end up podcasting by myself. My husband has a webcam. We'll see how that goes. It's in the office, and the office has become the fish room. And, well, it's not the same as the blank white wall. So, yeah, I think that's everything. So, I hope to see you guys around the internet this week, and I hope you guys have a lovely week. So, take care, guys. Bye-bye.